Hey friends, today we're going to power rank each land at Disneyland by its attractions, giving each ride a numeric score and then totaling those all up to figure out which is the best land at Disneyland based on its attractions. Let's get started. Hello friends, welcome to today's countdown. My name is Brickey. My friends call me Brickey Mouse. Nobody really calls me that. It's often been debated which land is the best land at the Disneyland Resort. And well, there's many ways one could come to this conclusion, but today I've tried to add a little bit of science as part of our March Madness ranking the Disneyland Resort. I went back into the Disneyland history books, examining the old e-ticket system. That's right, there was a time when you couldn't just buy one admission into the park and ride your little heart out. You had to get a ticket book and ride each attraction individually using certain tickets for attractions at that value. If we were to pick the best land at Disneyland according to number of attractions, well, that would blow this whole thing right out of the water, because there are 4 lands that have only 2 attractions, and another 2 lands only have 3. That equates to 60% of our total inventory. That's why we got to go to good old math. Today we are power ranking each land, giving each attraction between 1 and 4 points, and then totaling up those points for best land score. Confused? All right. Here's a quick summary on how the point system works. If an attraction gets 1 point, it's basically transportation. It provides a low level of thrills, it has an overall lack of theming, and it may not resonate with today's modern Disneyland audience. If the attraction has 1 or more of those attributes, 1 point will be rewarded. The 2-point category describes your basic dark ride. The ones that lack the thrills, lack the adventure, or overall scale. You're in, you're out, it's quick, it's fun, but it's not exactly the thing that you showed up for. It's an added treat, a little bit of Disneyland bonus. 3 points will be given to any attraction that qualifies as a classic e-ticket attraction. It's adventure, it's themed, it's not over quickly, even though it always feels like it is. It's classic Disneyland. Now, because all things aren't always equal, and some e-tickets just scale or resonate more, tapping into the culture of Disneyland. Some attractions did earn an extra point to be a 4-point attraction. These are the heart and the soul of the park. The ones that keep us coming back and are the must-ride attractions. These are the cultural giants of Disneyland. And hey, if you don't like my rules, make your own. And our last bit of rules, it's like that iTunes thing that scrolls down. Do you accept these terms? Do I have an opportunity not to accept these terms? No, click. I use Disneyland's very own guide to the lands located at Disneyland.com. Now, there were some exclusions that had to be made because some things that they qualify as an attraction, I don't technically think are attractions. For example, anything that you're just allowed to walk on your own, that's not an attraction. To be a real attraction to me, you have to ask for permission. You have to line up. A cast member has to tell you where you're going to sit at. So something like Tarzan's Treehouse, to me, that's an exhibit, not an attraction. Character meet and greets. They're fun, they're Disneyland, but they're not attractions. They're long lines where you wait for a fleeting moment, memories that last a lifetime, but not attraction memories. Character meet and greets to me are just a complete different genre. And last but not least, playgrounds. Playgrounds are for kids. And you know what I say, kids ruin Disneyland. What do you say after all that? Let's dive in. Number 10, the Disneyland Railroad. I have categorized this as its own land. When you go to Disneyland.com, it states the Disneyland Railroad as existing everywhere. Making 4 stops around Walt's original Magic Kingdom, the railroad is the fence of the park. Sure, we go in and out of it, but they don't let us know that. Even though this is one of my favorite attractions, and a real emotional part of the park, it receives 1 point because it's basically transportation with a little bit of show mixed in. Number 9, Main Street USA. Main Street USA is home to 2 attractions. The Disneyland Story, presenting great moments with Mr. Lincoln, gets 1 point, as well as the Main Street vehicles combined get 1 point. leaving Main Street USA with a total of 2 points and our number 9 position. Main Street USA is the Disneyland land that you have been to more than others. It's statistically possible to go anywhere more than you've been to Main Street, unless you're a hardcore monorail user. Main Street USA is the corridor that pushes us into the magic, leading us down to the hub where decisions have to be made. It's a bonus that there's a couple of attractions mixed in, but Moments with Mr. Lincoln has aged, and the Main Street vehicles are fun and cute, but deserving of 1 point. Number 8. Mickey's TOONTOWN. Mickey's TOONTOWN is a home to lots of the characters' houses, but we don't accept meet and greets on our attraction list, leaving just Gadget's Go Coaster at 1 point due to low thrills and overall lack of theming. I know it does spray you with water. And its sole dark ride, Roger Rabbit's Cartoon Spin, 2 points for a basic dark ride, giving Mickey's TOONTOWN a grand total of 3 points and landing at number 8 on our list. Now this is where I steer into some controversy. Number 7, Frontierland, home of Pirate's Lair on Tom Sawyer Island. One of my favorites, the Mark Twain Riverboat. This to me is such a great attraction. I love it. I'm from Kentucky. I grew up on the banks of the Ohio River, hearing the Delta Queen from Cincinnati, Ohio, and Louisville's very own Belle of Louisville going down the Ohio River are some of my greatest childhood memories. On the right day, the Mark Twain can make me choke up, reminiscing of being a kid in my neighborhood, not caring about a thing in the world other than where we were going to skateboard that day and whose house we were having lunch at. The Mark Twain shares the exact same track with Sailing Ship Columbia. Each of these attractions share the exact same footprint. Tom Sawyer Island is basically an exhibit, but you do have to ask for permission to take the raft over to the island, qualifying it as an attraction for today's countdown. So all 3 of those attractions at 1 point each total up to 3 points. But there's one more attraction in Frontierland that I've given the coveted 4-point reward to, and that's Big Thunder Mountain. Big Thunder Mountain is easily one of the best coasters at Disneyland. Its theming, its placement in the park, its iconic red rock mountaintop can be seen from all around. This is one of those attractions that stands literally and emotionally above all the rest. With 4 attractions totaling 7 points, Frontierland comes in today at number 7. Number 6, Critter Country. I bet you're pretty surprised Critter Country is this high on the countdown, but let me explain. Sure, it's got Davy Crockett's Explorer Canoes, 1 point, transportation, and it has the mini adventures of Winnie the Pooh, 2 points, dark ride, always a fun thing to fit in with a 5-minute wait, and plays the best Christmas music loop during the holidays. But it's also home to another famous Disneyland mountain, Splash Mountain, which gets the coveted 4 points. Because Splash Mountain is beyond e-ticket. It has 3 acts. You're floating in a log, you get to see adventure, you get to see a dark show, and you get to see a little bit of adventure again. You get covered in water, it's fun for the family, it's worth 4 points, giving Critter Country the score of 7 points for all 3 of its attractions. I don't believe in ties, I believe in a world where there are clear winners. How did I decide to put Critter Country over the top of Frontierland? Well, it's easy for me to figure this out when it comes to a tiebreaker. Frontierland has 3 attractions that share 1 footprint. Now, I love the kinetic energy of Disneyland, but you wouldn't necessarily try to do all 3 of those in a day. There's not many people that do the Mark Twain and then say, we gotta run over to Sailing Ship Columbia and now see it from that perspective. In fact, if one of those boats is running, the other ship is probably in Joe's Ditch, Fowler's Harbor, my favorite spot at the park. Frontierland also suffers because it's an ambiguous land of borders. You have the western corridor that you get off of the Disneyland hub, but then that dumps you out at the Rivers of America, which has to live next to lots of other different lands. So you're technically always kind of confused, am I still in Frontierland or have I wandered into New Orleans Square or Critter Country? But Critter Country has the outside edge because it is very defined as a land. Before Star Wars Galaxy's Edge opened up, this was a dead end of the park. So once you go past the Hungry Bear and Splash Mountain, you know you're in Critter Country. You can't see any other lands from this land, and because it is so self-contained, it's very well soundtracked. And the ultimate decision is, I think that Splash Mountain is probably slightly more popular than Big Thunder. All of this proves I'm totally insane and I have put way too much work in figuring out which land is higher, which land is lower. But those are the rules. Frontierland is at 7, Critter Country is at the unexpected 6. We have now reached our top 5. The brand new kid on the block, Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. Star Wars Galaxy's Edge is one of our lands that's home to only 2 attractions. It can be very confusing to think of it in that terms because it's so massive, it's so well designed, and it's so removed from the rest of the park. Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run is a true e-ticket attraction. It's fun, it's exciting, everybody has a good time on it, but after you've done it once or twice, you don't feel compelled that you have to do it each and every time. Its wait time would also indicate for an attraction this new that people were like, yeah, it's cool, don't get me wrong. I really enjoy riding it, but I don't think it's at the same level as the other cultural giants we've mentioned on today's show, like Big Thunder and Splash Mountain. Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run comes in at 3 points as a true e-ticket. Now, Star Wars Rise of the Resistance. This one was confusing for me because 4 points is as high as we go. I was considering giving this special treatment and going up to 5 points because this attraction has rewritten so many of the rules at Disneyland. It's rewritten so many of our expectations of what could be possible at Disneyland. It's the only attraction in the entire resort that has its own proprietary, unique system of being allowed to ride it for the day. And you only get 1 shot a day. However, where I didn't give it an extra point is we don't know the long-term effects of Rise of the Resistance. Will this still have all the cultural cachet that the other 4-point attractions have decades into their existence? It's one thing to be this amazing out of the gate, it's another thing to be Splash Mountain or Big Thunder Mountain and still grabbing the big crowds and the big fandom after decades at the park. With Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run at 3 points, Star Wars Rise of the Resistance at 4 points, Star Wars Galaxy's Edge is at number 5 with 7 points total. I already explained why Critter Country at 7 points was better than Frontierland. I will now explain to you why Star Wars Galaxy's Edge beat those two out at the 7-point ranking system. It's because the Galaxy's Edge is such a well-designed land. So much effort went into the theming of this land. Both of these attractions are well hidden. Both of these attractions have amazing storytelling and technology that make them unlike so many of the other things at the park. Whereas Frontierland's perimeters are very loose, Critter Country and Star Wars Galaxy's Edge are very defined where you're at. But Galaxy's Edge goes up a notch for overall land theming. I don't think most guests would debate me too hard on that if you're given the opportunity to ride Big Thunder Mountain, Splash Mountain, or Rise of the Resistance, which one are you going to go for? It's also a battle of quality over quantity. Frontierland had 4 attractions totaling in at 7 points. Critter Country had 3 attractions totaling in at 7 points. But Galaxy's Edge is able to do this in just 2 attractions, providing guests with quality over quantity. And that's how Galaxy's Edge landed at number 5. Number 4, the ever so popular Adventureland. Adventureland is pretty interesting because it's actually just like a hallway to get to everything else. But it is home to the Enchanted Tiki Room, 1 point. The opening day e-ticket classic, The Jungle Cruise, at 3 points. And a perennial favorite, Indiana Jones, getting that rare 4-point reward. Because to say Indiana Jones is an e-ticket just like the Jungle Cruise is completely unfair. Giving Adventureland a total of 8 points and edging out the last 3 previous lands. Adventureland is so insanely popular among park guests. I think it's because the theming is so well constructed. But if you actually step back and look at it as a land, it really is just a hallway that sometimes is your main destination and other times is something that you breeze past to get to several other lands in the park. But after 25 years, the love of Indiana Jones is still stronger than ever. Many people absolutely love the Jungle Cruise. To me, it's a cringe fest. I don't know where to put my eyes. I don't like that kind of humor. I guess I don't believe in monkeying around. I guess I didn't pack my trunks. And you know what? I'm an adult. I take a shower every day. I see the backside of water all the time. But I do like the Jingle Cruise. Bring that back, please. Number 3, our third best land based on attractions at Disneyland is, you guessed it, New Orleans Square. New Orleans Square packs 2 heavy punches. The Haunted Mansion and Pirates of the Caribbean, 2 complete cultural classics, each getting 4 points on our scale. When you think about what Disney does better than any theme park around the globe, it's Haunted Mansion and Pirates of the Caribbean. Not only coming in a crucial part of the park's history and the company's history, these two attractions set a template for what the future could look like. Their influence can be seen in all the new attractions. Both of these attractions are powerhouses inside of New Orleans Square. And once again, a very odd-shaped land. Whereas Adventureland is a hallway, New Orleans Square is like a shopping plaza. It's one-sided, and it's home to the actual New Orleans Square, giving you corridors and adventure at every turn, not indicating which path is clear to go through. It's my assumption that the layout for New Orleans Square was a big influence for the Black Spire Outpost. When you can't see what's around the corner, your mind tells you that it's adventure. Now technically Adventureland has 3 attractions and New Orleans Square only has 2. But pound for pound, 2 solid 4-point attractions gives New Orleans Square the upper hand. When you think about the long-term fandom and influence of Pirates of the Caribbean and the Haunted Mansion, it's easy to see why New Orleans Square is ranked number 3. When I say number 2, you'll know what number 1 is, but have patience, my friend. Number 2, Tomorrowland. Home of the Astro Orbiter, Autopia, Disneyland Monorail. Funny that the monorail is listed as an attraction of Tomorrowland, but the Disneyland Railroad is listed as a everywhere attraction. All 3 coming in at 1 point each. And I know many of you are probably bummed out that I gave Autopia 1 point, but I am not a fan. I know it has heritage and history, but I cannot justify its smell, its noise, or its massive footprint and what it robs us of. I think if you gave many fans an option, this or Autopia, people would say this. And they don't even know what this is. It also houses its very own dark ride Buzz Lightyear Astro Blasters at 2 points, 2 classic e-ticket attractions, Finding Nemo Submarine Voyage, Star Tours The Adventure Continues, each at 3 points. Star Tours The Adventure Continues was a groundbreaking attraction when it opened, bringing live action Hollywood into the park for the first time. Star Tours will go down in the history books as one of those pivotal attractions that changed everything after it. But when you have a Millennium Falcon, Smuggler's Run, and a Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, do you still need to go on the Star Tours? I took my niece on it last month and I was reminded of what a fun ride it is. I would be sad to see it go, but it would make sense to either retheme it or put something else in its valuable place. And its 4-point cultural classic, Space Mountain. A whopping 7 attractions totaling 15 points. You can't deny that Tomorrowland has a lot packed into it. Even though its facade and its design is thematically all over the place, and we all know that it needs a good coat of paint and a bulldozer, it does have tons of memories and tons of options for fans of all ages. When you think about the footprint of Tomorrowland and how it's able to house 7 major attractions, it'll be very curious to see what this parcel of land holds for the future. It's easy to predict that Space Mountain and the monorail are safe, but I feel like almost everything else could be on the chopping block. I was kind of shocked when I did the tally, 7 attractions in Tomorrowland, but it's nothing compared to our number 1. Fantasyland is the dream. Fantasyland is Disneyland. It's everything that the park was built to be, and it sits high on our list, above and beyond the other lands because of all of the attractions that call Fantasyland home. Coming in at 1 point each, Casey Jr.'s Circus Train and King Arthur's Carousel. Now, I love the Circus Train, but it does share the same footprint as another attraction. It is relatively low theming, and it also puts children in cages. Very controversial. King Arthur's Carousel inspired the whole park, but it is a carousel. To me, it's more of a set piece than an actual attraction. In fact, I just rode it this year for the very first time. I didn't choose a horse, I chose the bench. Possibly the coolest ride in the entire Disneyland Resort. You can sit on a bench and go in circles. That should be 5 points all on its own. We have a long list of 2-point attractions at Fantasyland. The Storybook Land Canal Boats, Alice in Wonderland, Dumbo the Flying Elephant, The Mad Tea Party, Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, Pinocchio's Daring Journey, Snow White's former scary adventures. All of those attractions weigh in at 2 points each. They're fun, they have the theming, they have the heart of the park, and they're all fast. If you're going to the park as an adult, not with kids, ride these attractions your last hour. You could probably get them all in that final hour after the fireworks shuts down the land. It gives a hard refresh to all of the lines for these attractions. Most of the kids and families have gone home, giving the adults the ability to take over Fantasyland. I did leave one off the list though, and that's Peter Pan's Flight. I gave that 3 points because it's a cultural e-ticket. Even though it's built the same as the other dark rides on this list, it just packs more of an emotional punch. And it has a line all day long to prove it. I was once asked by an ABC executive, quizzing me on my love of Disneyland. How dare you? He said, here's the insider's question. If you could go to Disneyland right now and I could get you on one attraction with no wait time, what would you pick? And I said, right now, at 12 o'clock in the afternoon, Peter Pan's Flight, because it would be impossible to do it without waiting close to an hour. And our final 2 attractions coming in at 4 points each. It's a Small World and the Matterhorn bobsleds. It's a Small World is a cultural giant. Its significance to Disneyland and all the parks it's in around the world is massive. It's long, it's immersive, it's fun for the entire family. It has the second catchiest song at the Disneyland Resort. Its accomplishment, its merit, its scale are all massive. And whereas It's a Small World is small on adventure, it's large in its theming and bringing in the emotional punch which is Disneyland. Mary Blair and Rolly Crump outdid themselves, creating this Disneyland masterpiece. And our final attraction, it's unique to Disneyland, it's still the tallest structure in all of Anaheim, Matterhorn's bobsleds. When you think about the accomplishment of this attraction, when you think about putting 2 roller coasters inside of a mountain for the first time ever, Matterhorn set so many Disneyland records right out of the gate. And sure, it can be a little bit of a rough ride, but oh, isn't it worth it? Harold's been scaring guests for every decade that the park has been open, and will continue till the end of time. Matterhorn is a Disneyland classic in every possible sense of the term and offers a lot of diversity to Fantasyland, often considered to be the kids part of the park. If you're a kid who's watching, don't watch my videos, I don't want to get demonetized. Disneyland was designed to bridge families together so adults and children alike could have fun for the day. It's no wonder that Fantasyland sits at the top of our list with a massive 12 attractions and totaling 27 points. It truly is the heart of Disneyland. There you go, friends. There is my countdown. I'm sure you may have an opinion or two about it. Thank you so much for watching. What do you say? If this video does well, we do DCA next. I also wanted to let you know that you get 1 point for liking the video, 2 points for commenting, 3 points for sharing, and if you want to get 4 points, ring that bell button. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed today's countdown. I'll be back with more of these. Until the next time I see you, live the magic every single day. Goodbye. This is Bricky Mouse signing off from Brickeyland Studios. Can I get away with doing that? None of this is cool, so if I'm worried about being cool, I should have stopped months ago.